Thanks, John, for the introduction. I hope I'm not too loud. I don't know. So, as John said, I'm presenting our work, HeartChat, Heart Rate Augmented Mobile Messaging for Supporting Empathy and Awareness. And I'm presenting this on behalf of my co-authors, Daniel Buschek, PaweÅ, Wozniak, and Florian Alt. So, I think we've all been there in those situations where we don't really understand what a simple text really means. Does it mean that this person was angry, or does it mean he's just in a hurry so he doesn't want to talk, or he's depressed, or what's the situation? And I know that this already caused me problems. I don't know about you, but we've all been there, and I think we all agree that texting is not enough. And that's why currently people augment their messages with extra channels and extra things, from emojis to different types of media like videos, voice notes, and images. And as a wise person once said, texting is a brilliant way to miscommunicate how you feel and misinterpret what others say. However, we think we can help make it better. So what we're going to do is we are augmenting mobile chats with heart rate information to increase intimacy and awareness. The question is, why biosignals at all? Like, why heart rate or breathing rate or different types of biosignals? So the body reveals a lot of information about the physical state of the person, or the affective or emotional state of the person, or the cognitive state. And these are revealed through the different biosignals of the body. So you can basically know a lot of information about how excited you are, or how confused you are from your heart rate and breathing rate, from your skin conductance levels, or even from brain signals, or using glasses and detecting facial expressions. And these have all been explored in different related works, which try to incorporate these types of biosignals in PC-based chats. In our work, we investigate the augmentation of chat on mobile phones. Well, phones are ubiquitous. I think we all do texting on our phones now, and it has not only it's not only limited to informal settings, but also to formal settings like work and so on. So I'll describe now how we designed the design process of designing HeartChat. We first began by looking into 22 different papers and 30 apps which were concerned with heart rate sharing on the different app stores. The 22 papers were all about sharing physiological signals in different chat scenarios. We came up with 4 main design dimensions. The first is representation, whether the data that's coming from the body is represented in a raw form, like you see the heart rate in beats per minute, or in an interpreted form, like it's translated into an avatar, an emoji, or a color. The second is persistence, and here by persistence we mean either if the data persists and is historical, so I can go up in the chat and see how I was doing before that, or is it ephemeral and it just appears and disappears the next second. The third is the sharing trigger, and here's where the research and the apps are completely different. All the apps ask the users before they want to share something with others, and most of the related work is concerned with implicit sharing of these data. Finally, granularity. How is this data shown? Is it per person, per message, or per the whole conversation, showing something like an atmosphere for the whole conversation? We took these design dimensions and followed this up by a focus group with 6 participants. We discussed with them their texting habits, and discussed with them the idea of sharing heart rate in a textual communication method. At the end of the focus group, we conducted a design ideation session where they were given pieces of paper to design how would such a system look like in a regular text. These are some of the cool things our participants came up with. So yeah, showing the heart rate inside the heart, or depicting the heart rate information as an emoji, showing different colors for different messages, or showing lights on top of the chat, which gets updated frequently. We used the outcome of the design phase to inform and design HeartChat. So HeartChat is a regular chat app, utilizes Google Cloud Messaging, and communicates with any heart rate sensor enabled with Bluetooth Low Energy. We designed 3 different modes for HeartChat, and I'm going to explain them briefly now. The first mode, heart bubbles. Each message gets sent with a color depicting the heart rate information. And the colors go from green, light green, yellow, orange, and back to very deep red, covering the whole spectrum. This is obviously historical and persistent. It's also an implicit method. So each message gets sent and color-coded right away. The second mode is heart light. And in that, you have 2 circles at the top of the chat, showing the first letter from each chat partner, and showing the real-time heart rate information that gets updated every second. So it's not tied to the message, it's rather shown every second. Final mode is heart button, and that is an explicit one where you can see at the very bottom, beside the send button, there is another button which users could basically press on and send their heart rate information as a message. So you see the message, my current heart rate is 67 beats per minute. So those are the 3 modes, and we wanted to test this in a real environment and not in a lab setting. So we were courageous enough to go for a field study. We did a field study, and our main goals were to explore the general experience of embedding this information in an in-the-wild context, completely uncontrolled, and to assess the different modes and how people perceive those different modes, if they use the different modes in different situations, or what is their feedback about it. We had 14 participants, 7 pairs. When we invited participants over, we asked them to bring along a friend or a partner, someone they chat regularly with. We had 9 females. We had 4 of our pairs were in a relationship, either engaged or married or partners. We had 3 pairs of friends. We had 2 pairs who lived in the same household, and the rest of the 5 pairs lived either in different cities or even in different countries. We had 2 weeks study duration, and we used a mixed method study design, which I'm going to explain now. So in the beginning, we invited the participants to our lab. We gave them the heart rate sensor. Shown here is the polar chest strap. And we downloaded the app on each Android phone that they had. We explained to them the purpose of the study, and we explained to them the different modes, how they can use them, and how can they switch between them when they want to. And we explained to them how to set up an encryption password between them that we do not see. We also showed them our database and what we save there, obviously. We had, in the first week, we asked every group to choose a particular, only use a particular mode, either heart light, heart bubbles, or heart button, to make sure that all the different modes get tried by the different groups. In the second week, we asked the participants to freely choose between the modes as they wish. At the end, we had a questionnaire and an hour-long interview session. So to come to the results, we had over 4,000 messages exchanged, over 69 active usage days, and by active usage, I mean days in which participants actually exchange messages. When we compared the different modes and how people perceived them, we found that people found heart bubbles, which is the one with the colored messages, the most fun to use and what was making them most connected to their partners. And of course, as expected, the button was the most easy to perceive and clear to interpret. Now I'm going to present the results from the interviews. We recorded the interviews. We had almost 7 hours of recordings. We during the interviews, we showed each group of participants logs of their conversations every day and how their, not the text, but the heart rate, how their heart rate varied in different conversations. And then they were free to share with us like different insights from conversations that they had and think are interesting to us. This is an example of the logs. So on the x-axis, there is the time, and on the y-axis is the heart rate for each partner. And these are results from 4 different groups for one day. We showed these results, and when the participants were interested to see, oh, hey, my heart rate was super high here, maybe there was something interesting, let's go back, and they went back to the conversation and shared with us what was happening on that time. We conducted thematic analysis of the interview data, and we came up with 4 main themes. The first theme is empathy and awareness. The second theme is everyday topics. The third theme is reflection, and finally, the fourth theme is understanding of the heart rate augmentation. I'm going to speak about each of them briefly now. So, empathy and awareness. Empathy is a very important construct in interpersonal communication. One of its definitions is the ability to infer the other person's state and feelings and respond to it compassionately. And we had that topic recurrently in our interviews. Our participants were stating times where they were feeling for each other, asking people, okay, why was your heart rate this high at that moment? What are you doing now? And they got back to those points in the conversation and showed us their conversations. Participants also used HeartChat in a very interesting way. They used it as a way to gain awareness of the other person's context without sharing particular, more detailed information like location or activity. So, for example, we had people saying that, okay, I know if he's running to catch the bus, if his messages are now red or yellow at 5 p.m., so I would wait and then call him after a while. We had this recurrently with different people, and by the end of the 2 weeks, our participants stated that this was getting easier and easier to interpret. Oh, he's in a coffee break. It's nice to know that now. Oh, he's doing whatever. The second theme is everyday topics. We had very interesting conversations about changing habits and fun with everyday topics that people had using the heart rate information. So, for example, we had one participant who said that she always thought that power walking is a sport and is increasing her heart rate, but she realized after a while that it's not, and that's why she's going to change that. We had also people talking about food, about sports, about games, and comparing their heart rates while playing a game together or while watching a football match, although they are not co-located. We had this, 2 of our participants were talking about ice cream and a new sort of ice cream that was out there, and they were really excited about it. The third topic is reflection. And we've seen that participants really reflected about their own personal heart rates as well, and not just sharing it. We had a lot of people telling us that in general it was a bit of an eye-opener. They didn't know a priori how their heart rates varied through the days, and how different things impacted them, like going into an exam or giving a talk or doing different kinds of other activities. It also sparked curiosity and intrigued conversation at the moment. So when someone found that their heart rate is high, they say like, hey, look at my heart rate. This is me doing sports right now. Finally, understanding heart rate augmentation. And here we got very varying views about the different modes. Many people said that heart bubbles with the colors was an overload, and some others said it was a perfect way to know the state of the person at a glance. Some people said that using the button without any explanation is kind of weird and awkward. However, it was still a fun sort of gimmick. We also had an interesting point where one of our participants said that this real-time effect of heart light, where the people see the updated heart rate information right away, is really defying how messaging is. Because in messaging, you want to really not expose your true self. And he wanted to take his time while typing back the message to the person. instead of having everything so transparent. So finally, 3 implications from our HeartChat exploration. First, self-awareness through social activity. We found, like I said, that people are really getting more aware about their own heart rates during a regular chat. And although this can be done with other tracking applications like fitness or medical applications, incorporating it in something that's so ubiquitous and more fun and less formal and serious can really give a lot of value to the people without and taking away a bit of its seriousness. And we encourage designers to really emphasize this in the design of such apps. And the second is heart rate as an emotional cue. In our interviews, the participants reported that sharing heart rate helped them calm down their partners, helped them sometimes feel in sync if they are talking and they find similar increases and decreases of the heart rate information, and triggered conversations. We had several participants telling us that they also want designers to take into consideration the smaller heart rate changes. Like they changed back to the heart button just to see if the person is getting calmer and the heart rate is getting down bit by bit, which was not very apparent in the colors. Finally, heart rate is an implicit context cue, and that's what I previously explained, that a lot of participants over continuous use got the information about the location or the physical activity of the people. And we think that this is a very interesting aspect to consider for future work, that maybe designers can also add this information with animating the text to differentiate between whether this is a physical activity or an emotional arousal. Finally, 3 takeaway messages. Heart rate in chat or biosignals in chat in general can support empathy and awareness. They can be used as a subtle context cue, and they can really offer deeper insight into emotional cues, making us understand one another better. Thank you very much, and I will be happy to take any questions.
So if you've got any questions, please come up to the mic and say your name and affiliation.
Hi, John Tong from Microsoft Research. Really interesting work, but it strikes me that heart rate is an ambiguous signal. I could be high because I'm running to catch a bus or because I'm getting angry, and it made me wonder whether it's the change in heart rate during a conversation, whether you think it's sensitive enough to detect that I'm kind of getting more agitated about this conversation as I text? Or
yeah, so I would say that, for example, using heart rate variability can also maybe be a better cue for that. But our participants really used, for example, the heart button to see, and they saw changes of like 3, 5, or 7, 10 heartbeats per minute as they were getting more excited talking about something or angry talking about something. So it's definitely, yes, we see this ambiguity in saying that this is an emotional or a physical state as something that the participants kind of also appreciated, that they were like curious about what's going on and it triggered conversations. But it's definitely going to be a very nice add-on if we really can differentiate between the moments when this is according to physical activity and versus emotional activity.
Hi, Epi from Northumbria University. Do you not think that what you've essentially designed here is like a relationship polygraph test in real time?
I didn't get the question. Can you raise your voice?
Essentially, heart rates rise when people lie, which is how polygraph tests work.
Yes.
So you've essentially made a relationship polygraph test. Do you see there might be some potential for negativity there?
Yes. So we had this come up frequently in the focus group, that people were afraid that this would expose extra information about themselves that they don't want to show, like if they're lying, if they're flirting, if they're just concealing the truth, more or less. So yes, definitely this does give insight into such thing. We did not really get into that because the chats were encrypted and we couldn't read what they actually said, so that we don't know if they lied. But it's probably true that it does have a big effect, I would say.